This is Jaime from Luminati. Welcome back to Marketing Fridays, and today we're going to be on episode 5 talking about business and marketing automation concepts. So important things that you should know about automation in order for you to understand the rest of the future things we're going to be talking about. Let's get started. The first thing that you should know is what's the difference between business automation and marketing automation. So business automation is simply automating any task related to any part of the business and not just marketing. So that could be automating something to do with how you manage your email or how you connect something between your CRM, your customer relationship management system, and your accounting software, or anything that's not necessarily related to marketing automation. Marketing automation is part of business automation because marketing is something that we do within business. So marketing automation specifically, it's about using software specifically related for marketing processes to automatically communicate with your customers and prospects. So when we talk about marketing automation, we're really just talking about how to automate things related to marketing. Okay? And really, what's the goal of all of these things? Why are we doing all that stuff, right? It's important to know that. So the whole goal of automating anything is mostly to save time and for you to be more efficient on your business processes. So the whole point and the whole goal of watching all these videos and implementing any of this is really to make your company more efficient, save you time so that with your extra time you can do other things. So that's the goal. We're going to be talking about several different concepts, and some of them are directly related to automation and some of them are not, but they're all still very important. So let's talk about the first one, which we did talk about before, but CRM. What is a CRM? Again, it stands for Customer Relationship Management Systems, and it is initially something that was designed to manage contacts and leads, thus customer relationship. But today it's really more of a tool that allows you to do a lot of other stuff, including email marketing, which is related to marketing automation. These days you can also do everything to do with support tickets, creating calls, sending text messages, and all sorts of fancy stuff. So definitely look at the other video where we explain what a CRM is so you can get more insight into that. And that's a short intro. The next concept is SaaS, Software as a Service. That's something that you should probably be familiar with if you're going to be automating anything in your business. And this only relates to things that are web-based, because software as a service is just a way to say we're providing some type of software as a service, in the fact that we're charging, or not we, but the company who create the software, they're charging you usually a monthly fee. So for example, Google App for Works, or what is called now G Suite, it's Gmail's paid version for companies like what we use. That's a software as a service. That's an email service offered as a service. So it's software offered as a service. So that's why here I wrote it represents things like CRMs, Gmail, QuickBooks Online, email marketing software. Pretty much anything that you pay for monthly is an SaaS type of service. Now moving on to concept number 3, API. If you have anything to do with programming or you've talked to programmers, you might have heard of this, an API. The API stands for Application Protocol Interface. And this is really what specifies how one software, in this case any specific software, can communicate with the outside world. Think about it as a common set of structures or language that the company who creates the software gets to write down. An API gets to write down the language that it will allow other third-party solutions or other people from outside the organization or the software to be able to talk to the software and not only talk to it, but actually get information out of it. So in a way, it's like being able to give other companies access to the software without letting them know how it works. So let's say that you want to get information from QuickBooks Online, right? You want the CRM to access certain information about customer. For example, getting to see what their invoices of a specific customer look like. What are the invoices amount for a specific customer. You don't really want to know how QuickBooks works, but you need to allow some type of software to connect to QuickBooks and then gather that information and take it back. So the API is the protocol actually used in order for connecting one system to the other. So everything that we're going to be talking about automation is going to be related to one API of one software talking to the other API of the other software. In this case, there's now an amazing tool that I keep talking about called Zapier that lets you connect one with the other without having to actually hire a programmer. So if you don't have Zapier, the normal way of using an API would be to hire a bunch of programmers and tell them, hey, I want to connect software A with software B. I already made sure that they both have an API, which means they can both be talked to from a third-party solution, and then they would have to write a software that will let them talk to each other. But of course, that will take time and it will be more costly. So the idea here is to use a tool that basically avoids having to get a programmer and lets you do it on your own. And again, that tool for us is Zapier.com. All right. Now moving on to concept number 4, workflow automation tools. These are specific tools such as a CRM or Zapier on its own, which lets you automate some type of workflow, whether that's a business workflow, an automation for marketing, or anything that relates to a series of activities, which is what a workflow is all about. So usually, again, the tools are web-based, which means they're software as a service. So workflow automation tool simply describes specifically the actual tool for automating different things. In this case, it's really about connecting one API with the other, or in the case, for example, for marketing automation, it's sending a series of different emails in a sequence. Okay? Now, for additional concepts, let's talk about this. Once you are going to try to create some sort of landing page and an advertising campaign, you're going to want to know how each of these things connects to the automation part. So a website, you already know what a website is. I'm not going to really describe what it is. A landing page is something different. A landing page could be a website, but a landing page is usually a page specifically created for the purpose of converting a user. And converting means whether that person gets to call you or usually fills out a form with their name, email, and some other information. When some user fills out a form, they are converting. That means they're converting from an anonymous user into a known user. And the landing page is specifically designed for that. Usually the landing page doesn't have a menu or doesn't have almost anything you can click on except the button, the CTA, the call to action button for whatever you want the user to do. Okay, so it's very important to know, because usually a lot of the marketing automation things that we do get started through a conversion. That means once a lead fills out some type of form, either on your contact form or in a pop-up for capturing a new potential person who's interested in whatever you're offering, that is usually the trigger that starts an automation flow. In our case, for example, anybody that goes to our websites and fills out the contact page, we have a workflow that as soon as they fill it out, an email gets sent to them saying, thank you for filling it out. Then that information of the actual user gets saved into our CRM, and once it's saved into our CRM, a note is created with whatever the person wrote on the form, and then we add an additional task to follow up with that person, and we assign it to our salespeople. So that's the importance of why we're talking about these specific things. Third, capture form. The capture form specifically is the part within the landing page or the website that is really just the online form where it's asking you for your name and email. And when we're using a landing page, you actually have to type in your email. When it comes to Facebook and something new called Facebook ad leads or lead ads, the beauty about that is that you actually don't need to type in anything, because Facebook already knows your information, and the moment you click on an ad from Facebook, if it's a specific type of ad called the lead ad, then it'll pop up some sort of immediate, let's call it a landing page within Facebook, and it'll be pre-filled with your name and email, so you don't have to type it. So that's pretty cool. Now moving on to other things. There's another concept for email marketing that is directly related to what we were just talking about, the double opt-in process. So in order to make sure that people who are receiving your emails really want to receive them, there is something where you don't only ask them to just fill out the form on your website, but then you go through the double process of asking to make sure that they want to opt in. So that usually means that when they sign up for, let's say, a newsletter, or they sign up for anything, they'll receive an email with a link that says, hey, click here to verify that you really do want to get email from us. That email with the link, that's the second part, which is why it's called double opt-in. The first opt-in is when people are clicking to opt in by filling out your form online, and the second opt-in is when they're clicking to verify through a click on the email that they get. Now, one of the most important concepts about this is an auto response. What is an auto response? It really means simply something that happens automatically, of course, assuming that you've set it up, after something gets triggered. So in this case, the very common auto response is whenever you fill out something online, you're probably going to get a thank you email, or when you buy something online, you're going to get a receipt. That's an auto response. In this case, it's an automatic email. And it's acknowledging that the information that you inputted was received, and it serves as providing instant gratification, which is something we're unfortunately getting too used to today, and everybody wants to be gratified with something on their email automatically. Okay? Now, the next concept is called the workflow. What is a workflow? Well, we've already spoken about it briefly, but a workflow is a series of actions that happen throughout an automation process. There's two types of workflows, either linear, which means one thing happens after the other, or it could be non-linear, which means one workflow starts and then one of the elements or the steps checks, hey, did this person go to a website or not, or did they open an email or not? And depending on how the user interacts with it, then a different tangent of a different action is taken. In that case, it's a non-linear workflow, and you can look at the other videos that talk about that. And finally, the last three concepts we're going to cover today, that's lead nurturing, lead scoring, and a sales funnel. So these are all related, of course, directly to marketing, because a lead is usually a prospect that you're trying to get for them to buy. So initially, the process starts with marketing when you gather that information, but then it really is about sales. So lead nurturing is the process of being able to continue to communicate with your prospect, which is called a lead. And usually when it comes to automation, it's about sending a series of emails where you're going to be educating your prospect about what your company is, what types of products you're offering, how you actually help your customers solve their challenges. And it's everything related to nurturing that lead until hopefully they become an actual paying client. Lead scoring, moving on to the next concept, is the process of assigning a numeric value or score based on how that lead or prospect engages with you, your company, or your website. So when we're talking about doing everything automated, one of the ways that we can see whether a lead is really interested in our product or not is by measuring how much interaction they have with all of our digital touch points. That includes email and everything that they do on your website. So if you have everything set up correctly, you should be able to track your users' web activity. So anytime that they open your email, if they click on at least one link that takes them to your website, from that moment forward, you will be able to track everything that they're doing on your website. So you could set up a specific rule that every time somebody visits every page, they'll get 1 point. So for every page that they go to in your website, they'll get 1 point. Or you can make, for example, the How It Works page be worth 5 points. And if they get to that page, they'll be added 5 points. The whole idea here is that the more points you have as a lead, the more likely it is that you're interested in whatever product or service that you're looking at, right? Because let's say that you have 100 people that are your leads for this week. You might not have time as a salesperson to talk to all of them. So in this case, you want to really focus your time only on the ones that are most likely to become customers. And that's the reason we use lead scoring. And finally, the sales funnel. The sales funnel is a concept that is also part of the automation when we're talking about the lead nurturing. Each of those different emails that you're sending through an automated campaign are part of the sales funnel. Why? Because as you continue to educate your lead, that person gets to understand more what the company is about, how they can be helped through using a product or service that the company offers. And a funnel really is one of those things that you see that have the shape like this, where at the beginning you have a lot of people, and then you're filtering people. Each of the different sales process stages is part of the sales funnel. So you usually start with a lead. That lead, once it's qualified, really becomes a prospect. Once it's a prospect and it's even more qualified, it can become something else. And eventually that lead will turn to be a customer. So the sales funnel is really the series of stages in the sales cycle that the prospect moves through. And automation helps identify those prospects that are more likely to buy. One of those things, like we said, is through the lead scoring concept. So that's pretty much it. I covered it pretty quickly, but feel free to pause and rewind and learn each of those concepts a little more. If you have any questions, please let me know. Just write some comments below. Thank you so much for being on this episode of Marketing Fridays. And again, this is Jaime from Luminari, a San Diego digital marketing agency. That's it for today. Bye-bye.